has ever told us what is the total value of Caveat Creameries Limited, for example, Mr. Speaker. Even the Kapsabet Pediatric Wing, what is the total value of that project, Mr. Speaker? Even Kobuchai, expansion of Kobuchai dispensary, what is the total value, Mr. Speaker? Even Kapsengere, Mr. Speaker, expansion, what is the total value of that, Mr. Speaker? Even the expansion of Maraba, among other 196 health facilities, Mr. Speaker. Even Chepterwai, and I want to thank the President, Dr. William Ruto, because he supported the expansion of Chepterwai Nyayo Hospital in Mosop sub-county, Mr. Speaker. Up to now, Mr. Speaker, no one can tell us the value. The projects have stalled. When you raise questions, Mr. Speaker, the farthest that the county government can go is to ensure that they hire blockers and other people to insult the senator in funerals and baby showers and other public forums, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, as a country, we must be honest and speak truth to the power, Mr. Speaker. We cannot be intimidated. And I want to say, Mr. Speaker, on the floor of the House, I shall not be intimidated. I shall not be coward. I will not succumb to insults, Mr. Speaker, because I know the highest calling is the election by the great people, Mr. Speaker, of Nandi. So on the issue of CIDP, Mr. Speaker, we need to look at the CIDP, annual development plans, Mr. Speaker. County assets, Mr. Speaker, is one of the greatest challenges that we are facing, Mr. Speaker. When you look at the county assets, Mr. Speaker, I am shocked that most counties do not have a complete asset register as we talk today, Mr. Speaker. There are many assets that have been acquired, Mr. Speaker. For example, in Nandi, we have acquired a tractor to prepare silage, Mr. Speaker. And this is interlinked with the on-source revenue, Mr. Speaker, in the quick succession. Where is the assets? For example, let me use an example in Nandi. Mr. Speaker, we have an asset called Kiborko Tea Estate in Mgwen sub-county, Mr. Speaker. Up to now, out of 256 acres that Kiborko Tea Estate, Mr. Speaker, you know, for people who plant tea, including I had seen Senator Sigei and others, Mr. Speaker, you cannot tell me 256 acres can give you 15 million in a year through on-source revenue. So, Speaker, these assets should allow the county to generate the revenue, Mr. Speaker. To generate, Mr. Speaker, so that you can be able. Up to now, Kiborgo Tea Estate, the ownership, you have a title deed from one part. There is another part, Mr. Speaker. You cannot talk about the management, Mr. Speaker, management of the aspect of the management company that runs the Kiborgo Tea Estate to improve on the process, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, on-source revenue, because it ties up with the assets, Mr. Speaker, should be able to generate money outside equitable shareable revenue, Mr. Speaker, including the conditional grants, Mr. Speaker, the donations and other additional funds as per the Constitution, Mr. Speaker. The on-source revenue is, you know, it shocks me. When counties pass finance bill, Mr. Speaker, they go for public participation. They start chasing Mama Mboga and Boda Boda to tax them. But, Mr. Speaker, when you go where Mama Mboga and Boda Boda stay, because they say kulipa ushuru ni kujitegemea, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, sir, can you believe when it comes to collecting taxes from the border, from Mama Mboga in Nandi County, you clobber them, Mr. Speaker. But when it comes to doing service for them, Mr. Speaker, for example, even in my local center, Mosoria Township, where I come from, where I was born and bred, Mosoria Township Center, Mr. Speaker. As we talk, our women in Mosoria Township Center are selling their mboga and other merchandise in open air, Mr. Speaker. But when it comes to collecting revenue, the county is quick. Go to Nandil's town, Mr. Speaker. Go to Kapsabet. In fact, the Kapsabet market is the worst of all, Mr. Speaker. Can you believe when you go to Kapsabet market, the headquarters of Nandi, Mr. Speaker, there is no toilet, there is no running water, there is no proper sanitation in Kapsabet, the town market, Mr. Speaker. Similarly to Maraba, similarly to Kaptumo, similarly to Kobuja, Mr. Speaker, we must as a country ensure when we collect, Mr. Speaker, the on-source revenue from the people. Mr. Speaker, when you go to Chemelil Chemase, Mr. Speaker, our border are staying in the sun, yet they pay, Mr. Speaker, for the border sticker. But there are no border shades. They have been forced to construct border shades using grass, Mr. Speaker. And yet, when it comes to collecting that money, Mr. Speaker, we use county enforcement as carriers to go and harass Mama Mboga and border, for example, in Nandi, Mr. Speaker, at the expense of providing service, Mr. Speaker. Because the clarion call of Kenya Revenue Authority, ni kulipa ushuru, ni kujitegemea. And that is what we are saying. Let it be pay tax, get service. Why would you pay tax and there is no service, Mr. Speaker? Mr. Speaker, it pains me. And I hope when we go to devolution, Mr. Speaker, I'll request the Committee of Trade to visit even Kapsabet Town Market, which is the headquarters, Mr. Speaker. I pity those women. Our women are very beautiful and hardworking in this country, Mr. Speaker. But when you go, there is no toilet, there is no water, there is no electricity. They cannot even, kujisitiri, how do you call it in English, Mr. Speaker? They don't even have dignity. I wish they could be motivated, Mr. Speaker, so that they work in a clean environment, they get water and electricity, so that when they are paying taxes, they dance and celebrate the way Kenyans are celebrating because of the Finance Act that the courts have allowed, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, we must be honest so that we motivate, Mr. Speaker. We must agree, Mr. Speaker, so that we can, and I can see minority side are very happy until they have gone to take tea, led by Senator Sifuna. Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, let us be honest in this country. I saw even in Kingwal, our women roast maize, but they don't have shades. It is raining in Nandi. I don't know other areas. This is a rainy season, Mr. Speaker. Our women are forced to go daily to hospital. By the way, Mr. Speaker, what is funny about Nandi is this. You go and buy in Kapsabet Town Market. You are not sure of your hygiene. You get sick, you go to Kapsabet County Referral Hospital, there are no drugs. You go back and buy from the pharmacy, which are run by county staff. So, you know, it shocks, it doesn't make sense. And that is why, Mr. Speaker, some of us are at pains. Because 190 in Nandi sometimes asking me, what is the role of devolution? Where is this money that you are bringing, Mr. Speaker? We must be held accountable at any given point, Mr. Speaker. I have seen even the NARIC, Mr. Speaker, the DANIDA, other organizations, Mr. Speaker. They give a lot of money to rural agriculture, Mr. Speaker. The county went and bought avocado seedlings, Mr. Speaker. And you give a farmer one avocado seedling. It doesn't make value, Mr. Speaker. The other, Mr. Speaker, they went and bought chicken and chicks. Chicken and chicks. What do you call, Mr. Speaker? Chicken and chicks. Vivaranga, chicken and chicks, Mr. Speaker. No, stop misleading me. I know Senator Eddie through you, Mr. Speaker.
Just proceed and stay focused. Stay focused and proceed and conclude.
I will stay focused, Mr. Speaker, as guided. My eyes is on the price. Mr. Speaker, that is why even NARIC, I want to ask Finance Committee, also provide us, we have passed a law on the issue of conditional grants, Mr. Speaker. You find counties are given NARIC, and Mr. Speaker, having been a former governor, you are well versed with these issues I'm raising, and I'm happy that you are a former governor and you understand. Counties are given money through NARIC, through World Bank. They decide and go and buy chicks. In some scenario, some counties went and bought fingerlets, fingerlings, sorry. They went and bought fingerlings, Mr. Speaker, and just throw it on a stream. How can you throw it on fingerlings on the stream and say this is a county project, Mr. Speaker? And we heard of a county somewhere in Mount Kenya East. I don't want to name the name of that county, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, in conclusion, because I can see my time is fast spent, I am happy that Nandi is getting 7.3 billion. But I am sad that that money will not translate to the value to the people of Nandi. Even 1.2 billion for June and August, there is nothing that is happening on the ground, Mr. Speaker. Even, Mr. Speaker, the national government gave us coolers that is meant to store our milk, Mr. Speaker. But up to now, those coolers have not gotten a proper housing where farmers can take milk, Mr. Speaker. And you know, as we thank the President, Mr. Speaker, and I'm going to ask the Agriculture Committee, led by Senator Murango, that the issue of reducing fertilizer is welcome. From 3,500 to 2,000 by the president. But it is a national government project. I want to ask Agriculture Committee, where is the role of Senate? Governors will go quickly, Mr. Speaker, on the ground and say to Moaletea Mbolea. What will senators say? What will the member of national? I want to ask Agriculture Committee to engage the the governors will go and say, we have brought fertilizer. Somebody will ask, what is the senator and member of National Assembly has brought? So we must, Mr. Speaker, we must be honest with ourselves, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to thank this committee. Thank you for the schedule. I hope this money will meet. And I want to conclude by saying, Mr. Speaker, we increased money that went to counties. In the last financial year, it was 370 billion. I want to thank President William Ruto. We increased to 3 an additional to 15 billion, Mr. Speaker. With those very, very remarks, Mr. Speaker, allow me to rest there and congratulate and wish the committee well.